starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for joining us. According to a new study, some men in relationships are keeping their partners in the dark about the truth regarding their bank accounts. Our next guest has more details for you. And joining us on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us Dr. Jasmine Boone. Dr. Boone, this study is pretty interesting, and I would say right on point, that more men out there hide financial secrets from their wives, from their spouses, from whomever they may be dating. So why is it that men want to keep it close to the chest and not share what's going on, a complete financial picture, because you're in that relationship in many instances for life, and your wife doesn't know what's going on in your bank account, or even if you have that secret bank account.
Uh-huh. Well, you have to think about it. There's a huge social conditioning here. When boys are very young in the homes, usually they've been taught that their worth is tied to like their ability to provide when they get their own home and they get their own family, right? So at that point, money is not just currency. It's attached to like how I identify my self-worth. It's attached to my ability to control the world around me. So currency becomes way more than just currency. It becomes self-worth. And so the keeping the finances separate, there's a lot of when I feel like I'm struggling financially or I'm uncertain about my finances, I'd rather be silent than feel the shame that comes with that. I'd rather be silent than to deal with feeling unable to take care of my loved ones or inadequate. And so they kind of struggle with that on their own. One, because they've been conditioned that way, and there's a lot of emotional stress that comes with it.
How do you prevent that from happening with, say, for a wife? How do you prevent that from happening with your husband? Do you establish maybe an open relationship about finances before you guys get married, before you get into longevity in the relationship? That way you guys are open and you know what's going on with each other's finances.
I think first and foremost, as women, we have to understand how stressful the whole issue of finances can be on men, right? And so in modern day, there is not only this unspoken expectation for many of us that our man provides, but now in addition to providing, we want them to have the emotional language and the emotional understanding on top of that. And we're not giving them space to learn all of it together. So we have to give them space to not feel shame if they need help financially, or to say, I am so stressed about this and I feel like I'm letting you down, to give them space to feel those things. And have those healthy conversations to kind of dismantle the conditioning that these men had when they were young boys around currency and finances.
And so how do you start that process, especially if someone has learned this all their life and they know, well, it's my job to be the provider, the protector, and if I fail in that, I fail as a man. But how do you get them to even start the process of sharing that information with you as the significant other?
Yeah, I think it's like you said. I think it's important to have these conversations first and foremost before we even talk about marriage together, because it's going to take time for these men to trust us and trust that we have their back and they can have these hard conversations with us and there's no shame attached to it. But yeah, I think in the beginning, we start very small. We have those small conversations about like, ideally, what would you want our life to look like in the future financially? And, what role would I play in it? And what role would you play in it? And so having them see like, this is not all on your shoulders anymore. Like, I'm here to help. I'm capable. I'm willing to help. I love you. But having those very small conversations so they can grow more and more comfortable and feel it's safe to speak to their mate about these things.
It's the strangest thing, when you start a relationship, you know everything about each other except finances. You have an idea. You assume, okay,
Mhm.
he can take me out on an expensive date or he can take me out on a reasonable date, but
Mhm.
you never really get into talking about
how much is in that bank account? How stable are you? How much debt you're in? And that could be an uncomfortable space for people.
Oh, it's uncomfortable for many people. We've all been conditioned and taught in one way or another to behave a certain way around the conversation of money. And it can be a very taboo conversation, but it's so essential. I think the two conversations that are never discussed are sex and finances. And when you're married, those are the two things that can end a marriage. And so it is so important to have. I think you need to be prepared that it's going to be uncomfortable and maybe ease your way into the conversation little by little until the comfort grows. But it can no longer be taboo if we want to move through this chronic stress that these men are feeling.
And so, what would be the woman's role, or women in general? What is their role for men who may be out there watching, looking at social media? And I've seen post after post where women are like, "Who he's going to have to make this amount of money. He's going to have to be financially secure before I'm dating." And you see all of this going on social media, and which is not the real world, but on social media, people are saying these things, and individuals can take this as reality. And
Mhm.
if you see women saying, look, he has to have this amount, has to have this amount in the bank account, make this amount, and you walk into the situation intimidated. So, how do you address that? And what is the woman's role or women's role in general when they put out that kind of information?
Yeah, I think for women, it's going to be very important for us to have realistic expectations. Not every man is going to make six figures and beyond, and if that's something you want, you probably don't need to go on a date with someone who's not having that. But also for the men, I say this to my clients all the time: you don't need to date the world, you just need one. So if
Mhm.
you see that there is that woman who's like, oh no, I don't go to Cheesecake Factory and I don't do this and I don't do that, well, good, baby, you're just not my one, right? And so I think comparison is the thief of joy, and social media takes it. There's a lot of comparison there, and it takes away a lot of joy. But as long as you stay focused on your goals, you're setting realistic expectations. You just need that one who is aligned with your financial goals, and you are aligned with hers, and you all can build your empire, however big or small, together.
Don't go anywhere. We'll continue this conversation after the break. All right, time to get back to it. We're continuing our discussion on financial dynamics in a relationship, specifically on how some men hold the specifics of their situation close to their chest. They just won't tell their partners. Let's get back to it.
The fellows out there who may be going through tough time, feeling like the world is closing in on them because of financial problems. They're afraid to talk to their significant other about it. Who should they talk to? What would be your advice to take that first step to uh, take a load off, put the
Yeah.
sack of bricks down that you're carrying because you think if you tell someone that you're having a tough financial time, that you will be ruined as a man. So, how would you tell them to take that first step if they feel like they need to talk to someone about
Yeah.
the financial difficulties that they face?
Yeah. I think first it's taking a look within themselves, because this can lead to a lot of chronic stress, burnout, social isolation. It's really stressful for a lot of men. And
And,
so,
and really quick, Dr. Boone, there was a time where we saw a lot, or heard a lot, and read a lot about men taking their lives
oh, yeah.
because they could not provide financially, or they felt like they could
Yeah.
not provide, or they had this financial problem that they didn't know how to deal with. But continue on.
Yeah, and if that's my belief is that my ability to provide is my sole purpose, there are a lot of people who take their life because I'm not living in purpose, right? And
Hmm.
so taking that look within self, am I not having these conversations because I don't have a mate who is willing to have those conversations with me because they actually will shame me? And if there's a yes to that, then I don't need to be with that mate. If there is no, I think that she would be open. I'm just afraid to have those conversations. I think then you can talk to a friend, you can talk to a professional about how I can start opening up to have these conversations. But the first step is to ask myself, am I not opening up because I've been conditioned not to? Or am I not opening up because I'm with a mate who will not make it safe for me to open up?
Absolutely right. And if you're going into a relationship, you're setting the tone if you're living a lavish lifestyle you can't sustain. You
Yeah.
have to both address that. Like, okay, we're dating good, but reality sets in when we either get married or move in together. But
Yeah.
we just can't continue down this path. It's unsustainable.
Yeah. So let's be honest. When you're dating, everyone's dating a representative. We're all putting our best foot forward. The ladies aren't cursing as much. The gentlemen are taking you to the finest restaurants. But if your representative is like a completely different person, now you're just a fraud, right? And so you need to, of course, be realistic, as realistic as possible. It's okay to put your best foot forward and really court a woman and show them, what is within your means, the best of what is within your means, right? So that
Mhm.
they know what to expect, so that they aren't expecting any more. But the reason a lot of men put forward more of a facade is because they fear that that is not enough and the woman won't want me. But that is when, again, you date within your range. If that woman doesn't want you for what is within your means, you just need one and she's not it.
Absolutely. Dr. Jasmine Boone, always good to talk to you here on The Factor Uncensored. If some guys out there want to continue this conversation as a counselor, how can they reach you?
Absolutely. You can contact me through justyouTherapy.com. JustyouTherapy.com. I'm more than welcome and happy to help you through it.
And she's right here in Houston. And of course, she can Zoom to you anywhere in the country. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Doc, for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.